I got a lot to say about Aaron Boone today.
So I assume you're talking about. Look, they lose their 11-game win streak and to the Toronto Blues. It's actually a really good game.
Great game,
right? Low scoring, but Nestor pitched well, and but the Blue Jays were just better, and a couple home runs that were given up here. But I'm assuming you're talking about how Aaron Boone comes out in the 8th inning. Aaron Judge is getting these ridiculously low strikes called against him. And when you listen to the highlights of it, it's like he's 6'7", right? What are you talking? He's 6'7". Yes, if it was somebody else, if it's I don't know IKF, you can call that a strike. But it's Aaron Judge, that's not a strike. So he gets ejected, and then he goes out and he gives Marty Foster a piece of his mind after he's already been ejected. So I'm assuming you're talking about
that's part of it.
The heart attack that he's about to have.
Well,
when
God
he's out
forbid,
on the field.
dude. I mean, geez,
I'm joking.
He has had a heart issue.
I know he has.
Yeah,
but it's.
I love it.
He gets intense.
You know why I love it? Because in a sport like baseball, where it is a grind, and it really is a labor of love. It's every day. We know that, and that kind of stuff could get a little stale, even for a team with big expectations, even for a team that usually has 30,000 people in the stands, no matter where they are. Outside of a few spots around baseball, the Yankees always draw fans on the road, and obviously the Bronx is always packed. But, the way people talk about Aaron Boone, especially when we found out that he was getting that extension last year, you would think that this guy's a stump of wood with like a Yankee cap affixed to the top of his head. He's a third-generation baseball lifer, all right? And Aaron Boone, this is year number 5. Now, you take away year 2020, when it was a 60-game season, and we take away the 25 games so far this year. He's averaged 98 wins a season. And really, for the first time since maybe his first season, he's actually got a roster that meshes, and he can kind of manipulate to fit the modern needs of a baseball team. I'll give you a great example. Yankees suddenly have this weapon as a pinch runner in LeCastro. That guy's got 3 steals and 4 runs scored as a pinch runner.
Yeah.
He's mixing and matching the 5 infield spots for 4 guys very well. Now, the arms in the bullpen are terrific, but you still got to manage them. And, I remember defending, I don't know, maybe Connor, Hoff, you guys can find this somewhere on my social media timeline. When it was announced that Boone would be brought back, in unison, Yankee fans went nuts. And I said, listen, guys, I get it. You think it's time for a change. I don't agree with that, but it's about the roster. So my energy was always at Cashman. Now, Cashman's put together a much better team this year. We've talked about that a lot. But Aaron Boone, to me, on a night-to-night basis, he's not just some, rotten piece of fruit that's fed numbers and just sits there like a complete dolt. Aaron Boone is much more of an asset than this guy gets credit for.
He is.
I'm starting to love Aaron Boone.
I hear you, BT, but in New York, this is the counter argument. In New York, he's won 100 games. He's won 103 games. He's won, the pandemic year, he won 60 games.
They played 60.
They won 33 games in the pandemic year where they played 60. About 500. It was a down season, but
not about 500. That's not 500. That's more 60ish percent. Come on, dude.
But again,
don't fit it. Don't shape it to fit your story here, wherever you're going.
I almost throw that season out because there's so many issues
Fair enough. I got
for
you.
every team. I mean, it was kind of a crapshoot.
You can throw it out, but just make sure the numbers represents what the man did.
Well, it doesn't even matter what the regular season numbers were. And then obviously last year he won 92 games. But in all those
with a dirt roster,
all of those successful
and an ace who forgot how to pitch.
All those successful seasons, he's lost in the ALDS.
Yep.
He lost in the ALCS.
To cheaters.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
But they were past cheating at that point.
We don't know that for sure. We don't know that for sure.
Everybody cheats, but whatever. But they lost in the ALDS.
They cheat too. That's true.
They lost in the ALCS.
We just don't cheat as well.
They lost in the ALDS again, and they lost in the wild card round last year.
Is it his fault Garrett Cole imploded?
It doesn't
Honestly,
matter.
Teak.
It doesn't matter.
But it does matter.
It does.
It does, though, because if Max Scherzer takes the hill for the Mets this year,
but BT, here's
or
why,
DeGrom healthy, they're not going to implode like that.
But here's why it doesn't matter, because when it's all said and done, those particulars won't be remembered.
But I will.
You'll remember it, but when you look at his record, you'll say, oh, man, how many how many World Series appearances they made. And this is just for the Yankees. This doesn't apply for, I don't know, the Texas Rangers, right? Or even the Angels, who are playing great right now. It doesn't apply to any other team except for a team like the New York Yankees, who have this inflated expectation every year, even if the roster is constructed poorly. If you make the postseason, there's an expectation that we can potentially get it done. And so when you look at Aaron Boone's success ratio, it's not very high of getting to the World Series. It's not high at all of getting to the World Series despite great regular seasons. And so the counter argument to all of this love that you're throwing out to him is great, but is he going to do something when it matters? And managing matters. It really does. Managing can be the difference between, getting knocked out of the Champions League like Real Madrid did last night, or
it took you 8 minutes to weave that in. That's a record for you.
Or to come back against Man City, the best team in European soccer, and beat him on aggregation. So,
by the way, tell everybody how many times I respond to your soccer tweets.
None.
I don't even respond
at all.
I don't even respond.
By the way,
I won't even give you the courtesy of a thumbs up emoji.
An amazing.
I just read it. I'm like, whatever, nerd.
Comeback by Real Madrid last night against Man City.
I heard it was a sick game. I got you. I know soccer fans loved it.
I ticked Hoff and you, BT,
and nobody responded.
Did you guys see this? This was amazing.
Crickets.
I know you guys don't like soccer.
Crickets.
All right.
That's what you get.
All right. I sent you your drizzly. Just thumbs up.
Exactly.
Right away.
Exactly.
But my point is, Ancelotti's been amazing for Real Madrid and all the other leagues he's coached over there in Europe. And he gets credit because he's won. Because he's gotten to the ultimate stage and won. Aaron Boone, until he does that, this is all going to feel like noise to Yankees fans, despite how engaging and energetic he was last night.
You know what you're doing? And I find this very interesting because you're very adept at usually avoiding this. But you fell into the pitfall that a lot of people that listen to the show, listen to the station, and care about sports fall into.
Go ahead.
You are ignoring the middle ground, all right? I'm not getting on the air saying that Aaron Boone's Miller Huggins or Bill Parcells or Pat Riley or Mike Keenan with the 94 Rangers. I'm not, by the way, Rangers, let's get it done tonight.
Yes.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. How did I start the show? I believe right now that Aaron Boone is there's nobody that's less appreciated and at times disrespected and certainly minimized in this city right now, a sporting figure than Aaron Boone. That's not saying that he doesn't have to win a World Series. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just trying to bring it to the middle of the road. Like, he's not the scrub that so many people, but so many people, for whatever reason, couldn't wait for him to go.
Yeah. Well, that's because
couldn't wait.
Well, they feel like he's not making the decisions. He feels like this is a collective roster construction. It's a collective lineup construction each and every night. Analytics has taken over to some extent. It just feels like he's not that. It's just wrong.
That he's not in charge.
That's right. And that's wrong because he is ultimately. And more importantly, what happens is on his resume. Right? It's not, it's on Cashman's too, but it's really on his resume.
No, he's averaging 98 wins a year.
But
so why is this not on Cashman's resume since 2009?
He hasn't gotten to the World Series.
I understand that. Because Cashman hasn't given him a World Series team.
Here's what happened.
Even close to one.
But here's what happened.
Until maybe this year.
Cashman won a World Series.
I understand that.
And by the way, BT, when you win a championship, all the other negativity gets mitigated. It's just, all right, but he has a championship. All right, but... Right?
So you never have to prove yourself again?
No,
you just don't borrow time for the rest of your career?
Of course you have to prove yourself again. But it seems to, until you get there, until you prove that you are top of the top, or at least one of two that is getting to the World Series or the championship, whatever sport you might be playing, until you prove that you are one of two, top two in your respective sport, at your position, in this case, manager, there's always going to be, well, he just can't get there. He just can't do it. And it's not fair to Aaron Boone, but it's the reality of how fans think, especially when the expectation is as high as it always is in New York.
877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney show here on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Here to me is a real inconsistency in how we perceive champions. I want to lay this out for you. Like, Ewing got knocked, and still terminally knocked, even though we love him, for never winning a championship with the Knicks.
Yeah.
All right, the context there is obviously and we love Starks, et cetera, but he never had that second player next to him. We know that. Okay. Chris Paul, until Chris Paul wins a championship, and he might be in the process of it now. They look really good, as we know. He's going to have that on his resume.
Another Tiki and Tierney victory.
Well, that's a given. I mean, we've ripped off 13 straight at this point. I think the breaking news is when we get one wrong.
That's right.
You notice we just insert this now 13 minutes into the show.
That's right.
If we get tonight's wrong, we might have to lead with it because we never get stuff wrong with that. We get other stuff wrong, just not with the gambling stuff. But anyway. And then you look at an NFL coach like Andy Reid. Had to win a Super Bowl.
But he's the perfect example.
But hold on a sec. Baseball, to me, I think in a sport like baseball, and I use the word a lot, I get it, but the randomness of the sport, a baseball manager, and this is just my opinion, is far less influential on a championship team than the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL. You sit back and you watch guys get in the batter's box.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess so. I guess NBA I could argue a little bit with simply because it's so star-driven. Like if you have one or two stars, it's almost not that you're rolling the ball out to the middle of the court and saying go ball, but it's kind of that, especially once you get to the postseason. But I hear you. No, and to an extent, you're right. But there are moves that managers can make, whether it's positions, whether it's moving a guy to the DH.
The batting order. That's a knock on Boone. I'll give you that.
It's throwing out the batting order. And
a little too much, too many changes.
All of this doesn't matter. I guess it matters now because you're positioning yourself, but it really doesn't matter until you get to that point in the season, late in the regular season when you're trying to position for playoffs and either pull yourself out of the wild card and win the division, whatever it may be. That's when it really matters. And then more importantly, once you get to the postseason, and I think the postseason has been successful for Aaron Boone, but when you win 100 games and you win 103 games and you're over 60% in the pandemic year.
There you go, Tiki. Thank you.
Where you're 92 games in a tough division last year. You expect,
with a lot of injuries, by the way.
But still, you expect the next steps to happen.
But that's not fair because I never looked at the Yankees as a championship team next year. You talk about this aura, which they've earned with all the championships, but this on some level, this mythical existence where, dude, it expired a long time ago where, the Yankees just show up and win championships. Yeah. So for me, the evaluation of what Boone, and obviously by extension, what the Yankees accomplish needs to be modified because there's not superstars at every position.
No.
Maybe this year there might be a little bit more or just a better constructed team. But people don't differentiate between what the Yankees are supposed to be, okay, and what Cashman has given Boone, this year aside, the last couple of years. There's a big difference between the two. That's all I'm saying. I love what listen, I'm going to start being his biggest fan. I almost had a chance to hang with him at Carden's house on the Super Bowl, but Craig had to cancel the party. Boone was coming. I can't wait. Listen, I am all Boone at this point. Right. I'm in. And that has been
let's see if our callers will agree.
Well, if callers can wait. I don't care what the call. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, I care what they think. But the other one more point here, and this is an important one. Last year, when the Yankees won 13 straight, latest in the season, it was kind of smoke and mirror-ish. We knew that at least I did, it wasn't a championship team. And then shortly thereafter, they lost 11 of 13. And you know what? If you don't think Aaron Boone's a great manager, and I'm not saying that he's great. Again, he's not Miller Huggins or Riley or Parcells or some of the other great coaching figures, Al Arbor, may rest of it. I get that. I get that. But you know what he is? He is an incredible stabilizer.
Yeah.
And when you're the Yankee manager and all the stuff that goes into being the Yankee manager, you better be able to stabilize.
Yeah.
It's an underrated trait.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, by the way, that win streak included, sweeps with Boston, Minnesota, Atlanta.
That's right.
Right. Oakland, what is it?
No, Oakland was good last year. They had Matt Olson. They had a couple of pitchers.
That's right.
They're good.
So they swept the good teams, and then they started losing to the Angels and Baltimore.
Because they weren't that good.
But still.
DJ LeMahieu was hurt.
Yeah.
They weren't that good. Sanchez sucked. His fat, lazy ass. Thank God he's gone. And by the way, it's no coincidence that he's gone and the energy's picked up a little bit. It's no coincidence. I'm not saying that he's fully responsible for it. All right, you know where I stand. I'm worked up today. I love when Boone goes nuts. Because you don't see it anymore. James is in Staten Island. What's up there, James?
Hey, Tiki and Tierney, what's going on?
What's up, dude?
Hey, guys, this is the problem with Aaron Boone. Take a look at the Yankees payroll. Look at the economics of baseball. You, BT, you could go in there and coach them. You'll get 90 wins.
It's not true, James. That's just disrespectful. Maybe I could squeeze out 87. But,
Look, the guy didn't manage one game in the major league. They hired him, and they get 90 wins. It's the economics of the Yankees. Look who they've beaten this year. They have a $260 million payroll.
Okay.
The teams they're beating up on have a $60 million payroll.
Okay, but you know what? But James, they didn't beat up on all those inferior teams, both talent and payroll-wise a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't play particularly well against the Orioles.
No.
So when you want to bash them for that last year, you don't give them a modicum of credit this year? Yankees look terrific. I mean, they win 11 straight. They lose 2-1. Guerrero, what a stretch at first base, by the way. He acted like they just won the World Series, which to me is a good sign. That tells me that Guerrero knows and Toronto knows this Yankee team is different.
Yeah. I
They
think
don't celebrate like that when you beat Toronto, when you beat the Orioles.
That was kind of an odd stretch.
He stretched way early.
It was
stretched
just weird.
early.
He was kind of just sitting there.
Yeah, he was. And he had a short hop, almost like a goalie.
He put himself in a position to actually mess up the dig.
Well,
you know what I mean?
yes.
Because
it's a good point.
He has no movement. Like, the only thing that can move is his upper body.
That's funny.
It was weird.
He was watching the footage of Igor from the other night. Got inspired by the
Exactly.
79 saves. He was
That's
watching a little puck.
I was like, what the hell is he doing over there?
Well, the funny thing is, he really did everything wrong from a first baseman's point of
That's
view.
right.
Because he let the ball kind of play him.
Yeah.
Now, it looked like he went out and he attacked it because of the stretch, but his hands were actually right in front of his belly.
That's right.
You're taught you got to go out and snatch it to avoid it. You got to go get it before it gets that odd hop. And he actually didn't do it. He got kind of lucky.
Yeah, well, it's because, remember, earlier in the series, the Stanton legged out that single.
Yes.
He didn't attack he didn't stretch for the throw.
Correct.
He just kind of let it come to him, and he ended up being safe.
All right, so listen, I don't expect you guys to fully roll with me with my Aaron Boone love today. You know what? I don't need you to. It's my opinion. I respect yours. Tiki's not fully with me, not against me, but he's maybe tapping the brakes a bit. I just think for the way, and I know social media is not everything, but the way actually at the end of the day, it's nothing. But the way Aaron Boone is disrespected and glossed over and marginalized, I just think you are missing the boat on a pretty damn good baseball man. Not even saying he's Buck. He's not even the best manager in town, but he's pretty good.